How's it going, everybody? This is Adam from Flagship Home Loans, and I'm here with my good friend and colleague Kyle Stolte from Conquest Mortgage. And we just wanted to wrap a little bit about a couple different topics today, including when to be pre-approved, when's the right time, also choosing between a big national lender that you know the name of and a little local lender, and what are the differences and benefits. And then also we're going to touch on first-time homebuyer programs versus benefits of being a first-time homebuyer. So Kyle, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of people that come to me, Adam, and it's like 30 days, 15 days. Sometimes it's the weekend of that they find a house and they want to be pre-approved. And it's one of the things that, if you can help yourself, help me, help you kind of thing, getting pre-approved early helps you get prepared for shopping for a house. And what do I mean by early? It's mainly, probably if I had my way, it would be about 6 months to 3 months prior to you being ready to buy a house. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I always like paralleling our industry with other industries, right? And the ones that I've heard in the past are if you were going to have an addition put on your home or if you were going to have a deck built, would you ask for a quote the day that they're going to start making the deck or starting the project? No, you want to know ahead of time. You want to be able to plan. The other thing is setting proper expectations. I think sometimes people start looking for the house first and then they get their heart set on a certain type of home and then realize that may or may not be in their price range or in
Yep.
their affordability category. Absolutely, the sooner the better. I think sometimes our borrowers get this feeling that once we pull the credit or once they talk to us, we're off and running. So I always explain to them that we're just kicking the tires right now with the pre-approval. Nothing's being sent to underwriting. There's not going to be any adverse actions if you don't qualify, and that really kind of takes the temperature down, relaxes them, and kind of is freeing, right? You get that
Yep.
pre-approval early, and then you can really shop with knowledge later.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, you have, situations where somebody will call you, and this has happened to you and I many times. Somebody calls you and they're like, I want to be pre-approved. I found the house this weekend. I'd like to put an offer on it. You
Mhm.
pull their credit, you look at their assets, you look at their income, and all of a sudden they're just outside of qualifying for a particular program or a particular loan that really would have made a strong, strong offer. But because they didn't call you a few months before, they just missed out on being able to place that strong offer, and therefore they could miss out on the house that they really want if there's a multiple offer situation, which is kind of the environment that we're in still in 2025 when it's been like this for about 4 or 5 years now where you really have to make these strong offers. So I think the key to the message is let somebody take a look, let a loan officer take a look early and often to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward, but really just to make sure that they're getting the best loan for you.
Absolutely. The word agility comes to mind, right? When we're pre-approved, the ability for us to update a pre-approval letter and a fee worksheet is a matter of minutes. Whereas when someone's first submitting information to us, we have to possibly ask for additional documents. We might even have to send something to a lender. And also, there's programs out there where having a little bit of a week or two before we make the offer allows us to go apply for those other programs and say with certainty how this is going to look. So there's really
Yep.
no downside to getting pre-approved early, but a lot of downside in waiting.
Yeah, and it brings me to my next topic that I kind of wanted to bring up today, which was, whether we're going to use a local lender or a national lender. And there's a lot of varying opinions on that.
Mhm.
But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart because I have worked in both a large national call center situation and also for a local broker lender like Flagship Home Loans. And at the end of the day, I always start with this. There's very little difference between the end loan that you're going to get from one loan officer to another. It's all about that experience when you're getting the mortgage. Because at the end of the day,
Yep.
we're selling a mortgage note, we're selling a payment, and there's not going to be a difference once the settlement actually takes place. But there is a world of difference getting there. And the first thing I always say is, Kyle, what are your hours?
I
We
mean,
don't have hours. The phone
yep.
is always on, right? Whereas if you're working with a national call center or a national lender, they do have hours. They are not available on weekends. They are not allowed to give you their cell phone numbers. So if you have a question on Friday at 5:30, you're not getting your answer till Monday morning at 10 o'clock at best. They're not going to answer you right away, right? Right off the bat, the access to us is far greater. The other thing I think about is our customers are truly not just the borrowers, but it's also the real estate agents. And in that, we are very much looking to create a relationship with our real estate agents and also our buyers. Whereas the call center, that's a transaction. That's a one-time thing. They're never going to speak to that person again. Their real estate agent's never going to speak to that person again. So there's not a lot of personal accountability on the national level. Where with us, we see these real estate agents time and time again. We have to look them in the eye, and therefore we're going to be more accountable, more attentive, and also the experience. Right, we're more experienced up front. When you call a call center, you might have someone that just got licensed 2 weeks ago and they know how to pull credit, and they're going to somebody else for everything, and that might be fine for a school teacher that has $100,000 in the bank. But what about somebody that has a more complex situation? There are landmines throughout the entire process, and no one's going to help them better than us to navigate that.
Yeah, and I think a lot when I started in a call center myself, and I spent the first few years of my career there. And what you're taught in a call center is basically to protect the mothership. I mean, and for lack of a better term, but you're taught the principles of that company. You're taught the ways of that company, how to look at a loan application, which loan applications to approve, which ones to deny. And a lot of us follow the same guidelines. But in general, it's to protect the company itself so that the company can keep lending money to other people. But when you're an independent, a broker or an independent lender out in the real world, it's not, protect, but it's get what your customer needs. And so when we look at a product or a guideline, or we look at this particular client's profile, we're trying to find the best product for them, not necessarily what's best for the company or for me, but what's best for that client. Because if I don't find what's best for them, then they do go elsewhere and they do call a direct lender or a national lender and a call center. And these call centers, every lender, broker, we're all really close within interest rate, within an eighth of a percent, I would say. And that has to do with the internet, right? Because everything's on the internet today. But to find a truly good experience, an experience that you'll talk about for the rest of your time owning that home and sharing that experience with your friends and family, you're never, I would say, almost venture to say, guaranteed never going to get that from a call center interaction where that loan officer doesn't show up to closing, doesn't provide you with, whether it's a little closing gift or just that weekend when you've just got the home inspection, you're not sure whether to proceed. The appraisal comes in a little less, and now you have to maybe see if you can handle an extra $30, $35 a month. When it's a Sunday and you're trying to figure that out, local lenders are going to be there to help you.
Yep. And you jogged my memory on a few things there. One thing that we see almost every week is there might be a borrower that we're not sure if they qualify. And what do they almost always say? Well, I already got a pre-approval from
Hmm.
XYZ national lender, and you and I know what happens there, but a lot of times our agents and our borrowers don't understand what's actually going on there. And that is, we're doing the due diligence. We're doing the work to make sure that the rest of the process goes well. Whereas a lot of those large call centers, they will pre-approve anyone based off of what was either written or said by the borrower as their stated income. Kyle, how many times do you have somebody that puts in the correct or states their correct income up front? Almost
Less than
never.
1%.
Yeah, almost never, because there is an underwriting part of it, and half of that is undershooting what the income could be, and the other half is overstating what the income could be. And one's limiting, and the other is going to lead to disappointment a week before closing. And that's where you have a lot of people. When I read reviews about national lenders, you see it all the time. They're like, "I was pre-approved. We were 2 days away from closing, and then they told us that we couldn't get the loan." chances are that information was available from the very start that could have prevented that. But your national lenders are just going to
Absolutely.
send a pre-approval to anybody, which is why often sellers won't accept just a normal pre-approval from one of those big name box companies.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a more personal experience to be handled by a local lender, to be able to come into the office, talk with that person, drop off your documents, talk with them. And not everybody wants to do that. Some people just want to upload their documents to a portal. Other people just want to talk over the phone. I've had people where I just text with them, but still responding to a text on a Saturday puts someone at ease. Having the local mortgage person know the agent that
Mhm.
is listing the house that you want, and they see that local person. I mean, of course, everyone's going to recognize the big names, the Rocket or anybody who you see advertising during the Super Bowl, right? Yeah, everybody's going to know that name, but
Yeah.
to know the person's name, the loan officer's name, and to know that that listing agent, when you're putting in an offer, can just pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Kyle, I saw that your client's put in an offer. I have six other offers here. Can you tell me a little bit about this client? I've worked with you before. You've done a great job. I trust your experience. So I'd like to know a little bit more before we go down this road of viewing the other offers." That's going to make a world of difference when somebody is looking at multiple offers.
Absolutely. And just a parting thought on this topic, I always like to say we're within choking distance. National lenders are thousands of miles away, and they're not going to lose any sleep whether you get the house or not.
That's a good point.